Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we are just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Where's the good stuff, Brian?
Oh, the good stuff is getting closer. We're coming up on June 27th. Me and Tom doing a class. It's going to be great.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be the best ever. The best news ever, that's say.
Yes, .com.
.com. Let's get right into the supply run, though, because it's all about ads.
Supply run.
I realized that may be the worst tease you could create.
Is that?
Let's get into segment name because
Yeah.
it's about commercials. Everybody tunes out. But Amazon has doubled the number of ads per hour it shows on Prime Video. Unless you're paying for the ad-free plan, of course. You now get 6 minutes of ads per hour. It's an extra $3 a month if you want to get rid of them. So there you go. $6, 6 minutes of ads costs $3 a month. Netflix shows 4 to 5 minutes of ads per hour on its ad-supported tier. PC World claims that Max does about 4 minutes of ads an hour. The streamable tested Peacock says they're anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes an hour, so a little bit more sometimes. And linear TV is the king, Brian, at 13 to 16 minutes of ads an hour. So even at 7, we're still half of what you get on regular television, on broadcast and cable TV. But that's not going to stop people from saying streaming is over. It's been done. All the greed has taken all the joy out of streaming. I quit.
Tom, I just had an idea that I hate so much. It makes me almost certain that we should do it.
Yeah.
Our friends over at the Whiskey Vault channel or the Whiskey Tribe channel,
This is not an ad, by the way. Anyone thinks Brian's shtick is that he's going to go into an ad right now.
No, it's not. No, because they're celebrating whiskey, they understand that it is good hygiene to once a quarter do a dry week. And so they continue their regular programming, but they're not drinking during that week. Tom, I would hate to believe, you know that I take my information diet very seriously. I'd hate to acknowledge that we may have slightly be skewing our understanding of the online over-the-top streaming network experience because I don't ever experience ads, and I'm wondering if we should do some version of Dry Week where we experience these services as they exist.
It's the opposite,
people.
right? We're the teetotalers who need to drink whiskey once a month.
Well, exactly. Or
Right.
I mean, essentially, I guess the comparison would be what I fear is that maybe we're brittle and living in an ivory tower and therefore not really, because to be honest, like that headline to me reads as thing that I don't acknowledge exists doubles, you know? And so as a result, I just now felt a wave of, oh dear, am I out of touch? I feel like
that's a really interesting observation in multiple ways. One of which is, I think Amazon gets the most hate for this because Amazon is one of the more likely ways people experience ads because they didn't change their Amazon Prime subscription. So I realized when you said that, like, well, I see ads on Amazon Prime and I'm like, I bet a lot of people do, right? Somebody subscribes to Netflix, they would have to change their plan to get the ad supported one. Somebody who signed up for Peacock decided at the beginning if they were going to pay to not have ads or not. Somebody who signed up for Max, same way. But everybody with Amazon Prime who had Prime Video got ads unless they took action to change that. And as we know, people are less likely to take an action to change something, even if they don't like it sometimes. So I imagine if you ask people which service do you see ads on, Amazon Prime is going to come up a lot more often.
Yeah. Well, and it suddenly makes me wonder whether or not I'm in that category. I know that I see ads the moment my device whose name should not be invoked, the moment I tell it to turn on the TV, I have about 5 seconds before ads start blaring on whatever it is. And I don't know my status. How would I find out which tier that I have. I could do that right now, I guess.
Yeah, you probably just look at your account, and it should tell you. Do you watch Amazon Prime content though? Or do you watch add-ons to Amazon Prime? Because I know you use Amazon Prime for all your add-ons, but the add-ons don't have these ads. The add-ons have whatever ads or no ads that add-on has. The ads we're talking about, the 6 minutes of ads per hour, are for Prime Video content specifically, or Freevee content that is now in there.
Yes, correct. The unfortunately, the bulk of the content that I do, I buy. Like, there's a lot of stuff
you're not getting ads there. Yeah,
I rebuy it just so that partly because schedules get so tight that it becomes worth it. $2.99 for it's like I can keep my commitment to having watched this because everything's scheduled down to this 44-minute block to watch this one bit of content.
Yeah. I see ads when I watch linear TV, which I do for sports. So when I'm watching the NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, stuff like that, then I see ads. So I still get them, but I don't get them on most of my television. We're watching 24 for the full experience. I'm watching that on Disney Plus, which I pay to get rid of ads. I'm watching stuff on Netflix a lot, watching stuff on Max. We have the tiers that don't have ads. So I definitely have fewer ads than there are. And I don't spend a lot of time on Tubi or Pluto or places like that. Although when we were doing I think it was The Outer Limits, I was watching at least one or two of those episodes on Pluto. I think I had to buy the other two because I was traveling out of the country, and I was like, "Oh, I don't think I'll be able to access Pluto from out of the country," so I just bought them.
So it says when I go to my plan, it just says Prime Plan Annual $139 plus tax, best value.
Yeah, you're getting ads.
Okay, so how do I change it?
Well, you have to find the thing that says, add Prime Video without ads, which I'm not sure where that is from the screen you're looking at, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm just literally how fascinating. I have oh, you know what? So I just typed in Amazon Prime and I don't know. We'll follow this up in a future follow-up. But my point is, apparently I've been sucking down ads left and right and not knowing it.
Here's the thing that I don't think everyone understands, although many of you do. I know Derek does. Ads are more lucrative than people paying you directly.
Yeah.
It's
like if we were to actually pay, it would sound preposterous. It'd be like $40 a week or whatever.
Yeah. Your eyeballs are valuable. Also, ad rates are dynamic, so they can go up more. Whereas your subscription price, it's, as you know, really hard to raise your price because everybody gets upset when you raise the price. So you can't raise the subscription price very often. You can raise your ad rates whenever the demand gets high enough. And the advertisers will be like, yeah, I'll pay that because I want to place my ad in front of people, because when I do, I make more sales and make more money. So it's worth it to pay your higher ad rate. So you are seeing that hit streaming. It's why you're seeing more ads per hour. It's why you're seeing news this week that Amazon, Roku, and Disney, actually Disney and Roku, are both teaming up with Amazon's demand side platform for placing ads on streaming. Between Roku and Amazon alone, if you count Prime Video, which is on Apple TV and Google TV, Roku and Amazon can reach 80% of connected TV households with ads. Disney is also partnering up with Amazon. That's another big chunk of households out there. Advertising is the future of streaming right now. I hate to say it.
Yeah. So two things. First of all, it says I'm on the ad-free tier, so I'm watching Prime movies and TV without ads. So I think the price that I gave is reflective of that.
You must have done it then, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But number two, the weird part is I don't see a better solution than what we have right now, Tom, because part of, as it is an effective filter to weed out the garbage. For example, let's say you have extraordinary service and you have extraordinary reputation and you are beloved and you don't need to advertise. Weirdly, you still need to pay the Google AdWord tax. You got to pay for Google AdWords because otherwise your competition will get premium placement with your business's name. So it's like I invented the word Torbrenner for the product the Torbrenner. And if you Google it, you'll find Torbrenner. But the moment somebody wanted to do a knockoff, I would begin to have to pay that tax to compete against it. And likewise, there is a pervasive, and I would say largely right attitude of like, oh, your product and or service is the best. Well, if you really believe that, why aren't you paying a lot of money to make sure that I know about it and acquire me as a customer? Because if it's really good, then that'll be worth it for you. And weirdly, it's a bit like I don't know, diseases or bugs and antibodies, where it's like there's an equilibrium. Only money flushes down the toilet, and we all have to sit through ads.
Yeah. And the other thing that people hate to acknowledge, and trust me, I'm not on the side of ads. I'm not pro ads, but ads work. Everyone says they don't work because they're thinking of the ad that doesn't work, because not every ad works. And so you'll be like, that stupid ad, that didn't work. Like, yeah, that one didn't, but all those others probably did. And sometimes we say an ad doesn't work and it totally did work. We just think the ad's dumb, but sometimes the ad being dumb is why it worked. Because then later on, when you were in the grocery store and you were making a choice between peanut butters, that dumb peanut butter ad was in your head and you recognized that brand more and picked it.
Well, and think about the number of decisions that you don't make that were affected by ads. Think about services you were about to cancel or that were on the fence, but then an ad made you feel good. It's like, you know what? I do feel pretty good about that. So it's like that doesn't feel like an active decision you made, but mathematically speaking, economically speaking, it's exactly the same. I sound like John Stossel. Economically speaking, it's the exact same thing.
G. James B says, I will never buy Simpatica Trio for my non-existent dog. That exactly. You remember that ad because you don't have a dog. You're like, well, that ad's dumb. And that's a fault of targeting. All of the stuff where like, stop targeting me, stop targeting my personal information means you get less relevant ads. I'm not saying they deserve to have all my private information, but the whole idea of targeting is to give ads that are more relevant and more likely to make you go like, ooh, I want that thing. That's why Instagram is so good. The products are not that great on Instagram right now, but it's so easy for an entry-level company to target you that whether that entry-level company is really good or really bad doesn't matter. The Instagram algorithm can hit you where it knows you live and catch you and go like, oh yeah, no, I love that kind of thing. And it works really well because it knows a lot about you.
Yeah, and it is funny. One last thought on that. And there are times that quite legitimately they're doing you a favor. Like if you buy a newer brand softbox light and you have a newer brand whatever controller, then yeah, you probably want the newer brand bridge between that, and maybe you don't know it yet. Maybe it takes a gentle nudge of a half, 2 cents to put this up at the right time so that it pops up.
Yeah. I say all this to explain what's going on, not to champion it. This is just what's happening, folks. And maybe it's not as bad as it sometimes seems, but also you're going to get more ads and a lot of people don't like it. And that is also true. Like the fact that ads can work doesn't mean that people enjoy it. I think sometimes people complain more than they actually feel. I have the ads on Amazon Prime and I always feel like, I don't remember watching that show. When I think of watching that show that had the ads, I don't remember watching ads. I remember the show. So I don't know, maybe it's like going through pain where you don't remember the pain. The human mind remembers pain less than other things. And maybe that's why we hate ads, because they're painful. I don't know. I lost track of the metaphor somewhere there. But the fact is, we're going to have more ads.
Yeah, in general, it sounds like we get used to certain things and there's a regression to the baseline level of acceptance. Yeah. And weirdly, I mean, the Super Bowl is a great example of it. There is value to the social proof of millions of dollars being spent during that event that makes that event seem more valuable and makes it factually more pleasant and interesting to watch, because you know that the whole world is making giant bets on it.
Yeah.
Both
and
literal
trailers.
and figurative.
Movie trailers are ads, and people willingly go and stream them on YouTube.
They sit through other ads to watch
get
the
to
ads.
the ad, which is the trailer. So it's a whole thing. I do think we have an improved system, and I don't think the ad-free versions are going away. There will continue to be a lot more services that won't have an ad-free version, as Fast really is taking off, free ad-supported stuff. But I don't think Netflix is going to drop. I don't think Disney. I think they understand the value, but the prices are going to continue to go up because they want to make sure that they get those subscriptions as equivalent to the ad-supported versions as possible. The positive on subscriptions is that usually when you get a subscription revenue, it stays. People don't cancel subscriptions because again, you have to take an action to cancel a subscription.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they can hit a price point where they're like, this isn't as much as equivalent ads, but the fact that it's a subscription weighs it out. So I think that will stick around. The other thing I was going to throw in here at the end is a little more of a Daily Tech News Show topic, but I left one story out. Netflix is partnering with Yahoo to use its programmatic advertising system to let people buy ads on Netflix. So if you're buying ads through the Yahoo system, which doesn't mean you're just buying ads on Yahoo. Yahoo has an advertising system that places ads in a lot of places. You'll be able to choose Netflix as one of those places. Who didn't I mention in all of our talk about ads here?
Was Disney Plus in there?
I did. Disney is teaming up with Amazon ads for demand side placement.
YouTube?
I did mention YouTube as a place people watch trailers and had ads, but I didn't mention Google as a place that any of these streamers are partnering up with to place their ads.
Oh, that's interesting.
At least not this week.
I guess while we're on the topic of, you could clarify for me. I saw a headline saying that WhatsApp is getting ads now too.
Yeah, Meta is going to put is going to put ads in the equivalent of stories on WhatsApp. There's a place where videos play.
Ephemera.
Yeah, and so you'll watch 2 of those, and then there'll be an ad. So it's not ads in your messages yet. It's in a place that's more familiar to people from Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. But yeah, that's also Meta, and Meta is not a place that people are going to put ads on streaming video. Streaming video getting dominated by Amazon this week and a little bit by Yahoo there.
Yeah.
Well, if you heard an ad before you listened to Cordkillers, it's because you weren't listening to the RSS feed that you can get through Patreon.
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, it's not just the absence of ads that is the reason that you should go to Patreon. You should go because many of you, there's maybe not a hole in your heart, just a tickling, an itch, a thing making you think, you know what? A better version of me would be supporting independent creators. A better version of me would go to patreon.com/cordkillers, where I could keep Brian and Tom Loud live and independent, and I could, as an extra benefit, get early access to the full experience and exclusive access to the After Talk segment. And you know what? That part of you, that little itch, it's right. Head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers.
And that's not all. Starting this week, our producer Amos decided, why am I not giving people the link to the full live recording? If you've ever wanted to hear just the raw recording of Brian, Amos, and I from beginning to end without a stop, which is how we do it, you'll get that now too. Amos is like, it's cut and paste. That thing's already in Dropbox. I'll just give it to patrons. So another bonus on patreon.com.
New unlock.
/Cordkillers. Let's move on to the search party. Brian, do you have an iPhone? An Apple iPhone?
And I was curious about, talk to me about this haptic trailer. Is it like the 4D, what, you watch a movie and your butt vibrates?
It's like the 4DX for your fingers. Yeah. Apple released a haptic trailer for its upcoming F1 movie. That's the Brad Pitt movie that's going into theaters, going into IMAX theaters. But if you watch the trailer on an iPhone, specifically. I don't think it works on a Mac. It uses the haptics in the iPhone to rumble along with the video. And of course, because it's a movie about racing, that works really well. You get the rumble of the cars and things. It's available to stream right now in the Apple TV app. You do have to have iOS 18.4 or later. And 10 days from now, you can go watch the movie in the theater. It comes out June 27th. I tried it out and it was fun. It was cute. Good attention getter. Apple's putting a lot of promotion behind F1 to the tune that they had their executives pretending to drive race cars at the WWDC announcement at the very beginning. But this was kind of nifty. I don't know if it's the future of trailers or anything. It certainly is not something I'd necessarily feel value from watching an entire TV show or movie with. I imagine it takes a lot of at least right now, it takes a lot of hand, placement of things and triggering, but it was fun.
Do you think that you would have gotten more out of it had you not known it was coming? Would that have been a
no,
better?
I
really?
don't. Yeah, I think there would have been a moment of like, whoa, what's happening? But I balanced that with I wouldn't have watched this trailer.
If you had known it,
yeah, or I would have watched it on my laptop. You know,
got it.
You know what I mean? Like,
known, yeah.
But I saw it was a haptic trailer, and I was like, huh, okay, let me pop that on my iPhone and see what happens. So
you know what it feels like? There's in Buried Treasure, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Daredevil, but there's one moment that they do something neat. The aspect ratio on Daredevil is similar to Andor. It's like 2.35 to 1. And but it is displayed on a 16:9 television. And there's one moment that he does his crazy hearing thing, and like to go, they alter the aspect ratio to fill out the top and bottom so it gets more square, and then it becomes very, very thin on there with letterbox, which you can't do that. That means you can only do that if you bake in black bars on the top and bottom so that you can undo them. Anyway, point is, this feels like that, where it's like in moderation, just a sprinkle, just a little bit.
I tend to think this is a good promotional tool that with certain trailers they can trot out again. I don't think it's something they're going to put on every trailer, or that people are going to start putting on all the trailers.
Yeah, like this is 3D glasses. This is not the beginning of the haptic trailer revolution.
This is a fun novelty, and they could use it again, but I don't think it's going to be the norm. Trailer out on Netflix for My Melody and Kuromi. This is part of the Hello Kitty universe. A stop motion adventure coming July 24th. I don't know. I just thought this was cute, by the way. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah, I tried to watch the trailer, but I guess the press release didn't have it, and I didn't have time to track it down.
Oh, the press release had it when I was there. You had to click on play video.
I wonder if the ad blocker. Oh,
it's not an ad. It's just baked in that says play video.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's a design thing. My eyes scanned. I went up and down this 2 or 3 times.
You were looking for the play button,
the big
embed. You were looking for an embed, and there's not an embed.
Yeah. How interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bad move, Netflix. That didn't work.
Yeah.
It threw me off too. So I know what you're talking about, where I'm like, where is it? I'm like, oh, play video. Okay. So I pressed that, and then it popped up the video to play it for you.
I wonder, I wonder what argument was had behind the scenes between somebody like, why can't we do it like
page
this?
Load? Somebody wanted to get the page load of the pages down.
Or the default style guide made in another section of Netflix
like that.
And blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yep. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, as we've mentioned, premieres July 17th for season 3. We've mentioned that it was approved for a season 4, and it has now been approved for a shortened 5th and final season.
That's so wild. This is a case where I understand the calculus of all things being equal. You like the show, you're betting hard on it. Literally press whatever news button you need to press as many times as you can to get as many people to watch season 3 as possible, because you know you've got the goods. You've got all of your contracts lined up. It's beloved. You've done it. You've struck gold. Press the button. But unfortunately, the words final are baked into this button press, And if you just hear this as noise, like I did, it's like something final. And I just heard, aw, I guess not good. And meanwhile, they're doing it because they've got the goods and it's great. And you should definitely watch season 3 because they are announcing yet again they're extending it to the fully unreasonable and awesome 5th season. But unfortunately, I don't know. That's interesting.
We have been trained for 70 years, longer than we've been alive, that if a show gets canceled, it's because it failed. That
Yes.
TV shows are forever. They are meant to last as long as possible. And no show except Grey's Anatomy will go on forever. But, when it gets canceled, it's because it reached the end of its life.
It's because
died.
of something we did.
Exactly.
It's always our fault.
I think we have finally crossed into the world where shows are planned for a certain amount of time. Shows are books, shows are stories. And I suspect that part of the reason that they're going ahead and jumping and saying 5th and final season is they are laying the ground for a follow-up announcement. Now, what that follow-up announcement is, I don't know. Could be a movie, but my conspiracy brain is like, 5th season, 5-year mission is what the Enterprise was on. At the end of the 5-year mission of the original Enterprise, Christopher Pike no longer was in command.
Oh,
and
got
they
it.
handed it over to a new captain named James T. Kirk.
Got it. And so then technically that show is over. But who loves this casting characters and wants more? We have a brand new idea. It's a show. It's a Star Trek property. What's it going to be called? Buckle up. Are you ready? Star Trek. Wait, what? Nothing. It's just called Star Trek. Is your mind exploding? Yes, I think you're 100% right, Tom. 100%
And we might both be right because it's a shortened 5th season. So it may be finish the 5th season, do the movies to finish the story of that 5th year and bring us into the new version or whatever. I don't know. Because they've been seeding all the characters of Star Trek throughout Strange New Worlds. They've given us a Kirk. They've given us a Scotty. They've given us an Uhura. Like, I don't know. This is definitely feeling like maybe it's setting us up for something else.
Mm-hmm.
I only put this one in here because we watched the West Wing full experience, but Allison Janney plays the president in season 3 of Netflix's The Diplomat, and Bradley Whitford plays her husband. And they were both characters on the West Wing, and here they are again playing presidential characters on The Diplomat.
So they're not playing echoes of their original characters.
No, because Allison Janney was the press. She was the press secretary and then the chief of staff, I think, if I have that right. And then I can't even remember. Bradley Whitford was like some kind of spin guy, political guy on the West Wing. And I apologize to West Wing fans for getting that mangled. But yeah, here they're just playing other characters in the White House, not the same characters they played on the West Wing, but there's a very West Wingy feel to that. Mel Brooks is going to reprise his role as Yogurt for a Spaceballs sequel coming to Amazon MGM in 2027.
Here's the big question, Tom. Real Mel Brooks, CGI Yogurt Mel Brooks, or Dark Horse candidate puppet Mel Brooks Yogurt?
Mel Brooks right now, which is not 2027, is 98 years old.
Okay. All right. So, LLM.
I think
Mel Brooks.
They only announced this because they just finished capturing as much current Mel Brooks as possible.
They signed, the ink is still drying on that deal.
And, I don't remember the plot of Spaceballs enough to know if it really follows Yoda, but when Yoda showed up in sequels, he was a Force ghost.
Oh yeah.
So it could be a little of both. It'll
probably be very self-referential about how
he's like I'm
probably
AI
dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Mel Brooks' dark sense of humor, I wouldn't be surprised if that is some of the that awesome capsaicin.
That might be how they
makes it a little
convince
bit
him to do
bittersweet.
this, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, we'll make lots of jokes about how you're dead. And he's like, oh, I love it.
That's great. I love it. A Minecraft movie was one of the biggest movies of the year so far, and it begins streaming globally on Max Friday, June 20th. So just a couple days away, and on HBO Linear Saturday, June 21st.
Yeah, good. Maybe teenagers can take TikTok videos of them dropping a deuce in their parents' living room instead of at my theater.
You're joking. However,
No,
I'm
I'm
pretty
not.
sure that will happen.
No, that is legit. A kid got arrested for pooping in a theater.
Oh, and
here.
someone will definitely do a TikTok video of themselves doing that in their living room. I'm almost certain. It only takes one out of the 8 billion people on the planet, so I think the chances are pretty good. Foundation Season 3 got a trailer. It returns to Apple TV Plus on July 11th. I never got going on Season 2 yet. I'm still behind.
Yeah, I'll wait for somebody to say surprisingly great.
Trailer came out for the Naked Gun reboot with, oh my gosh,
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. How did I blank on Liam Neeson? With Liam Neeson playing the son of Frank
Leslie
Drebin.
Nielsen. Oh wait, Liam Neeson is fun to say next to Leslie Nielsen.
It's almost an anagram, but it's
Nielsen,
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comes to theaters August 1st. Did you watch this one?
I saw that it came out. I missed it, but I know that the teaser was note perfect, amazing.
Spoiler, you've seen half of this trailer because almost everything from the teaser is also in this trailer.
Okay.
Including the moment where they show O.J. Simpson and he just turns and goes,
okay. Well, now I don't feel bad.
Yeah. There's some other stuff in here that shows that Seth MacFarlane has carried on as a spiritual successor to Zucker's original. There's some really very classic Naked Gun funny jokes in there, including they do it twice because it's funny enough, I think, where he's driving in the car and then someone hands him a coffee because he's clearly in front of a green screen.
Oh, yeah.
And Zucker's not a fan. Zucker didn't want one to be involved with this, didn't think it was necessary, and watched the teaser and trashed it and said that was painful. So I don't think it's supported by the creator of the Naked Gun, but it does seem to be.
I don't know. There's a lot of reasons people do things.
Sure.
Like sometimes the stated reason isn't the real reason.
I threw this next one in here because Tubi is a free ad-supported service, and I think, the perception is, oh, those are just full of reruns of other stuff. But Tubi has acquired a 6-episode sports documentary series. It's an original called Zero Star, the Cam Ward story. Cam Ward was a football player that was unknown in high school, but went on to have success at the University of Miami, Florida, and became the number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
Oh, so this is a very, very recent story.
Yeah. So this is a brand new documentary. And it is going to premiere on Tubi.
Wow.
Yeah. So doing some originals there. Finally, a broadcast television story for you, because cord cutting isn't just about streaming. Weigel Broadcasting does a bunch of digital alternate channels. If you go to 2-2 and see Me TV. Me TV is a Weigel broadcasting channel. Just announced their 10th digital broadcast alternate called West. West stands for Western Entertainment Series Television. That doesn't just mean things from the West, because that's pretty much 90% of television. It means Westerns, Gunsmoke and the rest.
Man, I would love to know more about the characters who I don't want to be unkind, but I'm thinking that a lot of this content is for people who have less discriminating tastes when it comes to their content than we do.
Wagon Train, The Big Valley, Have Gun Will Travel.
Old people, Tom. Old people with the TV just on. That's what this is.
Here's something that I don't think disproves your point, but certainly is another piece of data. Yellowstone continues to be one of the biggest television shows on television as well as streaming. And Peacock and Paramount Plus adding Gunsmoke put it on the Nielsen streaming charts.
You know what? That does explain why Gunsmoke showed up on Roku. I have a very quick side-jag story. The most wonderful thing happened, Tom. There was a lightning storm and the internet went out. And when my TV TCL thing tried to come on, I was like, whoa, something's terrible. I can't connect to the internet. Do you want to restore to factory defaults? And I was like, oh God, yes. And it did. And now I have a non-internet connected TV. It's the best thing ever. Oh, it's so fast. Boots right up. Mwah, mwah. Oh, so good.
Even though you could have done that at any time, it would have
been opt-in.
Yeah.
The universe conspired to free me of my shackles.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Now, Brian, in our Buried Treasure segment where we share things we've been watching that you might be interested in watching as well, you teased earlier in the show that you've been watching Daredevil.
Yeah. Have you watched Daredevil Born Again?
I've watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
And I've watched the second episode twice.
The second episode, I'm now rewatching them because I started the 3rd episode and I'm like, Bonnie, this is quite good. And it became like, well, I guess we have to go back and revisit again. Boy, does it sing. First of all, it sings on its own, but it really sings when you realize how many needles it needed to thread. Like the fact that, Daredevil was renowned for being super gritty on Netflix and pushing the boundaries of what you would think is appropriate for a Marvel movie. Will it maintain its grit as it goes to Disney Plus? Oh, dear God, yes, it will. Also, the MCU had gotten very, very rubbery and big and celestial and galactic and all of that stuff. I started watching Captain America Brave New World and made it about 25 minutes in. And I was like, this is unwatchable. I don't like it. Everything's made of rubber. Harrison Ford is phoning it in. This whole idea of a bad guy running for office is a good idea, but boy, is this poorly executed. And then I clicked go on Daredevil, and boy, do I love the bad guy running for office in that. It's great.
The original character count limitation on Twitter of 140 characters was because of a limitation in SMS. And Twitter was originally conceived of as a texting service. It ended up being a great creative force because people had to figure out how to say what they wanted in 140 characters. I feel like an analog of that happened here. Netflix had been given the marching orders. You can vaguely refer to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you can't directly refer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because you're separate. And that gave them the brilliance to be able to be disconnected from it, that even now when they have the permission, they're like, I don't know that we need to take that permission because it's a pretty good creative constraint.
Well, and boy, does it feel grounded. Like they do this palette reset. The first 20 minutes very much feel like yet another action. It's a fine superhero action thing, but then they do a narrative thing that is like okay, we're restarting, right? There are not even superheroes now. This is just a courtroom drama series.
Yeah.
This is about intrigue and Game of Thrones stuff. Oh, wow, that was a very brutal, violent act that happened from one human to another. Is that where our heads are at? Great. Now, what if there were superheroes and supervillains? And it's like, whoa, this is great. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Also, you've been keeping up on Rick and Morty. I fell behind, and I was enjoying them, but the most recent episode caught your eye. It seems
episode 4, I watched twice. It got me. It got me.
Okay.
About
I need to catch up then.
45 seconds in, I was alone in the room and burst out laughing.
Okay.
And was suddenly like you crazy sons of shenanigans. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. Good. Because it's not like I didn't like the first 2 episodes, but I didn't like them enough to make me like, I can't miss the next one. So
episode 3, this is not a spoiler, but just the theme is, they do a Citadel episode every season. Yeah. That's the Citadel episode, which is great. You're like, oh yeah, I wonder how it's going to do without the Citadel to lean on. You find out in episode 4. It's great. It's great.
Okay. Excellent. I was trying to figure out what we watched this week because we haven't really been watching shows. We've been watching Murderbot and stuff, but I've talked about that a lot. And I realized, well, we watched a lot of sports. Stanley Cup is on, and the hockey NBA finals are on, and we've been watching more baseballs. It's baseball season. That's kind of been our default evening viewing as we're figuring out dinner and stuff. But then I remembered we stayed up, or we got up early, I suppose, to watch a concert on Weverse Live. And that is a thing we've talked about a lot on Cordkillers, is that you can stream concerts, but we're fans of J-Hope from BTS, and we watched his final concert streamed from Seoul over the internet, and I'm like,
did it feel like the Coachella experience? Like you felt like you were there?
Yeah, very much so. For one thing, there's a chat room with Weverse because you're paying to watch this one. And J-Hope comes in the chat room before the show and is like, hey, everybody, I just finished a snack, got to get ready. Like actually chats to folks and tells them what's going on, which is kind of fun. And then this show took place right after 4 members of BTS got out of the military. So there was a fun thing halfway through the show where he thanked his fellow members, and they show them in the audience and everybody cheers because they're finally out of the military. So it was kind of a fun moment there too. But yeah, it was a great show. And it was, like you said, it was like the Coachella experience where you're like, enjoying a concert, but on the comfort of your own couch.
Did you get kind of a thrill when he was chatting in the audience? Like, he's really here.
No, yeah. I know. Even though he's not chatting to me, it's like, this is great. Like he's really there behind stage. Like you're getting a little backstage peek. It's fun.
I think there's something in our brains that tickles at the deeply understanding that in this moment, literally anything might happen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, if you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, we are but 9 days away.
Yeah, dude. Look, we got 2 slots left. 2 slots left. If you want to, maybe this is hitting you at just the right moment and you can't believe that the weekend happens to be free. June 27th, 28th, 29th. How would you like to look? You go to a fan convention, you're going to get convention Brian and convention Tom. We're going to be polite. We're going to be very mindful that we're doing the show. There's going to be a lot of other people that we have to shake hands and say hello with. This is unlike anything like that. This is 2.5 days of show up with your project and stand with us shoulder to shoulder as we tell you everything we know and understand about this crazy new ecosystem. And not for nothing, not everybody goes 15 years before they get around to spilling all the secrets. We kind of know what we're up to, Tom.
Yeah. And the secret is we're never done. We're all, both of us, we were just talking before the show about the various things we're doing on our creative enterprises. Like, I got to figure out this, and I'm trying to figure out this strategy, and should I pull this lever or that lever? Those are things that we're not going to talk about in public because it's not necessarily baked, but we'll definitely be talking about it here and sharing where we are and how we think about that stuff.
Yeah, and if you're more technologically minded, everybody should understand. Like in this case, everybody's hearing us for the narrative stack, and so Tom and I are wealthy in narrative sauce, whatever that is, right? But we need to mechanically figure out narrative structures that get this into your head.
Yeah.
And then and whether it's a product you're selling, whether you're running your own business, whether you want to make it as an independent creator, whether you just want to do your thing and get paid more, we're going to explain to you why you should know a little bit about storytelling in order to get inside other people's heads better. It's really, really good, and it's been cooking for a long time, and I'm really proud that of what we're going to be sharing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. I hope you can join us, bestnewsever.com if you can. Let's move on to Scan the Horizon.
Send a scanning to abort.
Scanning the horizon!
Nielsen's The Gauge has kind of become a regular segment on Cordkillers. They finally have measured streaming as being bigger than both TV and cable combined in the report that came out for last month. Streaming, 44.8% of US TV viewership, 20.1% for broadcast, 24.1% for cable. So 44.2% for broadcast and cable combined, 44.8% for TV. And we were talking about FAST services earlier. 3 of those, Pluto, Roku Channel, and Tubi, now have large enough viewing to be broken out separately in the gauge instead of being thrown under the others category. If you combine those 3 together, they make up 5.7% of total TV viewing, which is more than any individual broadcast network. A little bit apples and oranges because we're combining 3 FAST services and comparing it to one broadcast network, but it gives you an idea of where they are. Also, Nielsen estimates that Andor was the most watched streaming television show on the week of May 12th, which takes over the top spot from Bluey, which is usually the #1 streaming TV show.
I'll tell you what, Nielsen is such an interesting cat. For what was a functional way to measure ad value targeting, so whatever, it's become this strange measure, some kind of tangible measure of the cultural gestalt. And I don't know, I'm here for it, weirdly.
A survey from Reuters Institute or Neiman Labs, depending on how you want to name them, found that 54% of people in the U.S. get news from social networks like Facebook's X and, for our purposes, more importantly, YouTube. 50% get news from a television and 48% from websites and apps. So that's the interesting thing. 54%, the majority, getting their news from something that isn't a news website or a news app. Joe Rogan was the most widely seen personality, with 22% saying they'd come across news or commentary from him in the previous week. Usage of X for news is stable or rising. And they surveyed outside of the U.S. as well and found that TikTok is the fastest growing news source in the world, with 17% of people using it for news worldwide, up 4% since last year.
Yeah, that's 22% Joe Rogan. That's astonishing. That's
I've at least heard, right? So maybe it was a clip, or maybe it was something on YouTube that came up on an algorithm.
I would assume that also in there, given the wording, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like there's a headline about a thing that happened on Joe Rogan's show.
Yeah, they came across him quoted somewhere or something like that. Yeah. Netflix announced it will open the first 2 locations of Netflix House. Remember, we talked about these opening up in suburban Philadelphia and suburban Dallas. They will open later this year. It also said it plans to open one at Boulevard in Las Vegas in 2027. If you don't recall, Netflix houses will have immersive experiences from popular Netflix franchises. At launch, they will have experiences from Stranger Things, One Piece, Wednesday, and Squid Game. And they will also have a restaurant similar to Netflix Bites, which opened in Las Vegas. So they're incorporating what they learned from the pop-up in Las Vegas into Philadelphia and Dallas, and then they'll reincorporate it back into the Las Vegas one later on. And they'll definitely have gift shop too, so there'll be retail.
Yeah, I'm kind of bullish on this. I don't know what they're going to do, but it seems like that's a space that somebody can do something crazy, and Netflix has proven that they don't mind taking big swings and taking big risks.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago saying Netflix really wants to have franchises. Stranger Things was kind of the first one that really got popular. And one of the things you do with franchises is you have amusement parks. You have places people can visit to be at the place. Harry Potter World at Universal, everything at Disney World, right? And so I'm like, I guess they'll get into amusement parks. Will they partner with one? No, they're doing this. This is their amusement park. They're starting a little smaller, but a little more accessible.
Yeah.
And they can do these in more places. An amusement park, you got to find a bunch of land and then you have to build it, and you kind of can't do too many of them. Whereas these, Philadelphia and Dallas go well. I'm sure Vegas will go well too. They could start opening them other places.
It wouldn't surprise me. So one of the other things about amusement park rides is that there's structural things, like you got to have a gravity defying drop.
Right.
And so as a result, that shapes the narrative that you're able to tell. However, if you are not doing rides, Then all of a sudden, like, what might a Netflix version of Sleep No More immersive theater look like?
Yeah.
Or you know, a magic show, or who knows?
I get the sense that these are more like escape rooms or haunted houses than they are like anything else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
According to Crunchyroll's EVP, anime fandom will reach at least 1.5 billion by 2030. According to the study, anime now stands shoulder to shoulder with the biggest icons in music and sports. Amongst Gen Z, 54% of people in Generation Z make their love for anime known, putting it ahead of Kendrick Lamar at 48%, on par with Beyonce at 56%, just behind LeBron James at 59%, Taylor Swift right ahead of them at 60%. Crunchyroll now looking to expand its experience to offer subscribers more than just things to watch. So standalone games, music, collectibles, immersive events, theatrical releases, etc.
That's amazing. I did not see that one coming. As an early adopter in the 1980s with, fourth generation VHS copies of Akira and Fist of the North Star, I did not expect my kids to roll their eyes at me not knowing all of the references.
And finally, checking in on the theaters, the live action, quote unquote, How to Train Your Dragon, $200 million globally in its debut. It's the summer of kids movies because Lilo and Stitch passed 850 million worldwide. So people were still going to see Lilo and Stitch, even with How to Train Your Dragon out.
Yeah. So I saw one headline about How to Train Your Dragon. They were playing defense. There was fan criticism that this is literally just the movie shot for shot. And they were responding, that's what Universal told us to do.
Yeah. They're like, yes, that is correct.
Well, and what's funny is I'll go one step farther and I'll say, not only is it what Universal ordered them to do, it's what you, the viewers, want. It is what is best. Sometimes the classics are classics for a reason. You know, I don't care that we have heard Amazing Grace before. You ain't never heard it with Lady Gaga and Beyonce on stage. Let's go.
Yeah. Honestly, $200 million says, well, maybe we're just in a world where when anything launches, a group of people will say why it sucks. And maybe that doesn't matter every time. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. This time doesn't seem to have mattered. They're making all the dollars. Let's move on to the chatter.
Got mail.
Tassie Dave, who I know from some of my other shows, wrote in to say, hi, Tom and Brian. I almost choked on my coffee when it was implied that ESPN was bad when it was showing Australian rules football in 1979, and ESPN was where sport went to die back then. I know it wasn't meant to disparage my friends and my country's favorite and most watched sport. I realize you were talking from a North American viewpoint. I do have US friends who love Aussie rules and would love for it to be shown on ESPN. I'd reverse Uno you and say this was when ESPN was most relevant to those of us outside North America. I get ESPN and ESPN2 as part of my sports package on Foxtel and have yet to watch a single sport on it. I know it's not for me. I'm definitely not going to be a person who'd pay $30 for a standalone ESPN channel, as they don't have the best coverage of the sports I love, Aussie rules footy, cricket, and soccer. I mean, this first of all, as someone who not only watched Australian rules football on ESPN, but learned about it from ESPN and played it in the vacant lot across the street from my friend Mark's house because we were watching it on ESPN.
Oh, man, like you're busting me now. Like I was quiet because I don't know jack about Australian rules football and I got busted.
No, it's fine. I think the point still holds, which was ESPN didn't get Australian rules football because they thought everyone in the US is ready to love Australian rules football. They got Australian rules football because that's what they could get. No one else had it. So it's not so much where sport went to die as much as it was where sport went when no one else wanted it. Yeah. Justly or unjustly, as a matter of fact. To your point, all the stuff that's on ESPN in the US, you don't like because you like your domestic sports. And so it's kind of the reverse situation, but good perspective from Tassie Dave. Makes me want to, here, I'll just For the rest of this, I will wear my Sydney Swans Australian rules football hat. This past weekend's NASCAR Cup Series race was the third on Amazon Prime, not the second, points out Tom from Maplewood, Minnesota. There are two more, Mexico City on June 15th and Pocono on June 22nd. Amazon's NASCAR coverage has been outstanding. They haven't put a time limit on post-race coverage. They're done when they're done. Thank you, Tom, for the extra insight on that. Big Jim wrote a couple of emails. First of all, another correction. Jake is from State Farm, which I believe we did get correct. Dennis Haspert, Allstate. So
Yeah, I think
Jake
we
from State
had-
Farm.
Yeah,
We
I
got
think
one
we
of
had
them wrong.
Allstate correct.
We
Yeah,
got
but-
Allstate correct. It was State Farm.
But the question was whether or not he was still the guy, and so
And he is still.
Yeah.
So I got it wrong when I said Jake was doing it because Jake's doing State Farm. Dennis still doing Allstate. Okay. Big Jim also said, I just went to watch the new Mission Impossible movie. It was okay, but Tom Cruise came on at the very beginning of the movie and thanked everybody for attending it in a movie theater because it's the way it was meant to be watched. And personally, I kind of took offense at that. I get that they make more money in the movie theater than maybe on a streaming service, but who is somebody to dictate to me the correct or incorrect way to watch a movie? If I want to watch it on my 27-inch computer screen, cool. Want to watch it on my 8-inch tablet? More power to me. And if I want to watch it on my little phone screen, well, frankly, that's awesome too. At this point, with all the other options out there, right? They should just be happy we're watching the movie, period.
So it sounds like this is written from the perspective of, well, they're just thanking you for coming in and giving where the more money is. I assure you that is not what is motivating Tom Cruise. He is well established that he is a cinemaphile, see it the way it was meant to be shown. Like, remember 10 years ago, while he was shooting Top Gun Maverick, while still in costume, he shot I forget what the release was, but it was detailed step-by-step tedious instructions of how to disable frame smoothing on your fancy newfangled TVs so that you could watch it at 24 frames per second the way it was meant to be watched. So say what you will about him tediously telling you what to do, but I do think it comes from a genuine place of him being a true cinemaphile.
Nikki in Omaha suggested we should do birthday or anniversary specials on our Patreon because you can do gifting now. Maybe through your team directly, you could offer a subscription to Patreon as a gift at the fan or executive level for 6 months or a year, some kind of swag, which they offer as a merchandise option. He was trying to get a 1-year subscription, but didn't have that option. The reason for that is we do per episode. You can't get a 1-year subscription when you do the per episode billing the way we do. The other side of that is when we do per episode billing, you don't get charged if we don't do an episode, where if you do the year subscription, you get charged no matter what we do. He also pointed out some interesting things to watch this summer. Ginny and Georgia on Netflix, The Mole on Netflix, The Devil's Plan on Netflix, which is a reality show, Poker Face on Peacock, a fun ride. Finally, Bad Monkey, Elsbeth, Matlock, NCIS, Sydney, if you're lazy and can't go out. Finally, an evergreen question. What full experience can you not do because it's not streaming? I'd love to suggest Dark Angel with Jessica Alba and Jensen Ackles, but it's not streaming anywhere.
Yeah, that's interesting. In fact, actually, that would be interesting to do a full experience on stuff that you just can't find. Like, I believe, I think I heard that nobody knows. Penn Jillette worked on a movie. He produced The Aristocrats, and I think nobody knows who owns it, so they can't come out anywhere.
Oh, really? That's why it can't come out anywhere. Nobody wants to fess up.
Like just everybody was busy making the movie, and then it's in like everybody like there's some piece of paper that they need in order for it to come out anywhere, and
nobody's got
it.
that.
Yeah.
James wanted to recommend Alias with Jennifer Garner for the full experience, which I watched on DVD.
Wow, yeah.
We were catching up on it. We were binge watching it before streaming and would go and buy DVD box sets of Alias to catch up.
Yeah.
Josh says, I built this app for a use case I needed and thought you might like it as well. Basically, it's just watch but for multiple countries at the same time. This is useful for those with VPNs to search if they can watch their show in another country. And we'll have a link to it in the show notes. He says, I built this app completely using vibe coding, which is when you just kind of use large language models and tell them what you want, and it makes it for you. Hopefully this is useful for you. I went to this app, and it's great.
It's legit. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
To be honest, I sort of bristled at like vibe coding equals low effort garbage, but maybe it was easy for him to do, but it looks and works great.
Look, it's just like prompting an LLM. There are good prompts and there are bad prompts. I guess there's good vibe coding and bad vibe coding. Well, this turns out to be a pretty good example of vibe coding because it works well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it turns out that it's not rocket science to say a thing that is an interface, a thing that connects to all the numbers. Go.
Yeah, this is really good. Thanks for sharing that, Josh. And that's it for us. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/Night Attack Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.